Hello, Night Nation. Trey Strelko here. Welcome into the Sons of UCF Live, remote from the Celeste Hotel on the UCF campus, joined by Adam Eaton. We're in the same space, not in two boxes.
Where the hell are we, Trace? I'm so confused right now.
You, of course, in town for the spring game.
That's correct.
Welcome back to UCF.
It's been a while since I've been back, Trace. It's fun to be back in Orlando. We're on the campus, which is always fun. So got a sun. By the way, got some sun today if you haven't noticed yet.
Yeah, not the smartest decision by the both of us. Did you have sunscreen on? I did not have sunscreen
Shameful
on.
admission, no. I had it in my car, though, not on my actual face.
We were at the Eagle Creek Golf Course in Orlando, Varsity Nights, Golf Classic. Dozens of football players, sponsors, boosters out there. Head coach Gus Malzahn and some legendary nights. What a great time it was.
It was so much fun. It's great to see those guys in a different environment, having fun, playing golf. Obviously, they're competitive on the football field, but they were competitive on the golf course. You had some guys out there really trying to win. Some groups, not so much. Some groups found the beverage cart, but you saw a lot of guys who were really competitive. A lot of good golfers out there. Blake Bortles was really good golfer. I was surprised at that.
No, I wasn't surprised. I figured
swings left-handed, which I did not see coming. And Gabe Davis was out there. Gabe Davis also a really good golfer.
We had some interviews that we're going to post on the Sons of UCF YouTube channel. Cheap plug to subscribe to that. But we caught up with some of the guys today, and we have a little sound we want to share.
We do, Trey. So obviously big news, Big 12. This is our first spring game going into the Big 12. So we asked a couple of guys you may recognize to give their opinion on going to the Big 12.
Man, I'm fired up, man. It's something that we dreamed about, something we talked about when, the Frost regime was here. And, just to see it coming to fruition, this first year, I'm excited. And, just talk to Coach Henshaw, they're aiming to go win a championship year one. And, that's the mindset that these guys got to have. It can't be, let's hope to make a bowl game. Let's hope to beat this team, that team. This is a championship program. And, the guys that are here today playing golf instilled that. And just to see Coach Henshaw bring that mindset to the current offense, it's awesome.
I think it's awesome. I think everybody's excited for it. I know as an alum, that it's something to look forward to. I'll root and support regardless of what conference they're in. But I think it's pretty cool to make that move, and looking forward to it.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. I'm very excited. Just looking forward to some of those big games, man. It's going to be absolutely great.
And you're no stranger to big games. You know what they're going to face in some of these environments.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be tough, but I think we're ready for it. I think we've been ready for it, and I know Coach Gus will have the team totally ready.
A lot of goats there.
Too many goats. It was like a goat farm, Trace. But again, it was so cool to catch up with those guys, watch them play some golf, kind of let their hair down a little bit. A lot of guys not having hair. Sorry, Trace. But it was still good to see a lot of guys letting their hair down, having some fun today.
So that's why Adam and I were a little sunburned today out at that Eagle Creek golf course, and that we will have more for you on the Sons of UCF YouTube channel. Good to hear from those guys. Of course, spring game, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but a boom today, Adam.
Yeah.
By the way, we were right near.
We got inside
Coach
info.
Gus Malzahn.
Inside info, yes.
Why did he on the 13th not tell us that? And of course, not paying attention when he hits the boom. We should have known about this one.
I didn't see a phone in his hand. I'm not throwing conspiracy theories out there. I didn't see a phone in his hand. Maybe on the ride to the green, he hit the button, Trace. I don't know. You could feel the shake a little bit, though. No.
Well, this is
Or was that Dante hitting the drive? It could have been that. It could have been that.
Hit some drives. This is Middle Tennessee defensive back Corian Patterson. I was surprised by this. Led the nation in interceptions last season with 7. Of course, that's probably more. I don't remember the exact stat. More than the Knights had last year, right? They only had a couple.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. But look, here's the thing. Obviously, secondary is a position group that we know. We've got some young guys, some transfers coming in. This clearly shows that there's still some flux there. I hate to say this, guys. Transfer portal opens on Saturday. Maybe this is foreshadowing to something. But anytime you can bring a kid in, we've had success at guys at quote unquote lower level schools, Trey. So this could be a good pickup for the Knights. Obviously, the secondary always a good opportunity to get some fresh blood back there. So we'll see what Leesburg's own Corian Patterson can provide us.
So that big boom today, and of course the spring game, a glorified practice in the Bounce House Friday night at 7:30. Knights or Knots? Your shirt says Knights. Is that a tip-off to which side you're rooting for?
No, I just didn't have my Knot shirts available tonight. I mean, I had a lot of sun, Trace. I don't know what's going on. No, look, I hope both teams have fun.
A good time had by all. Of course, going to be a little bit of a different format, 2 12-minute quarters to begin. But the drama really begins a little bit earlier with baseball at 5 o'clock and quarterback John Rice Plumlee likely manning center field before the spring game.
Is he still doing that?
Yeah, he's
Wow.
still doing
Yeah, look, we say this all the time. Obviously, JRP is what he is as an athlete, but the amount of dedication this kid's giving to both sports, and he's not taking any time off. He's not taking plays off. He's giving it his 100% on both sports. It's impressive, Trace. I'm curious to see how he pulls it off. I don't know if we'll have a camera crew following him from John Leano Park down to the bounce house, but it'll be impressive to see him pull it off. And I hope he has a good game in both. I really do. I mean, I hope he gets a chance to show out because it's a really unique opportunity, and I hope he gets some publicity out of it. I don't think a lot of star quarterbacks are doing what he's doing on the baseball diamond as well.
all of the UCF current head coaches and assistant coaches out at the golf course today. We spoke with Darren Hinshaw, new offensive coordinator, a little tight-lipped, didn't give us a lot on the handicapping of quarterbacks. But earlier in the week, we spoke with head coach Gus Malzahn during the media availability, and he talked about what he's learned about the offense so far during spring.
Of course, we have a new coordinator. We're putting in a lot of new install and all that, and it's been a whole lot of install, but our guys have handled it pretty well. We talked about pushing the ball vertically down the field. I mean, that's really the focus this spring. I feel like we've accomplished that. We're going to have a good running game. There's no doubt about that, and I think it's also been good for our defense.
We're going to talk with Leo Rodriguez, our very own, in a few moments and a little more preview of this spring game. But what I'm looking for is you've heard Darren Hinshaw, Coach Malzahn, talk about positioning of the quarterback and their feet and staying in the pocket more. I want to see if we see some of that come during the spring game.
Yeah, he's made that a big emphasis on all his press conferences, Trace. I mean, Mike and I in the podcast this week played the clip of him talking about the rhythm of quarterbacks. Spoiler alert, when you hear our conversation with Mackenzie Milton today, he talked a lot about having somebody who played the position, coaching the position, and how big a deal that is. So I'm curious to see, to your point, the fundamentals. Again, it's the little things. It may not be the thing that lights the scoreboard up, but building those healthy habits, as Coach Hinshaw often says, I think it could pay off in the long run. So let's see what our quarterbacks have under this new tutelage.
And of course, and Mike said it well during the podcast this week. You asked
Mike
him.
did?
Mike did.
Wow.
And by the way, we should mention Mike
Hi,
with a
Mike.
scheduling conflict, not able to.
He's holding up the camera. That's what you just can't see him right now.
He said the most important thing for him, though, is the team getting through this without any injuries. And that is huge, especially areas of need of depth. You don't want to see anybody get hurt. So that's very important.
Yeah, every year, I mean, that's always a goal for us. But here's the other thing. There's always going to be one breakout player. Every year, there's somebody who, after spring game, those who were there are talking about this person, message board, tweets, text, whatever. I'm curious who that breakout player is going to be. A couple years ago was Greg McCrae. He had a great spring game, and we saw what that led to. I think 2 years ago, RJ Harvey had a really nice spring game. So curious to see who that breakout star in the spring game is this year around.
And who's the guy that has a great game that by fall we don't hear much about? There's always one of those.
Would you be so negative, Trace?
No, I'm just saying,
Oh, my
right?
goodness.
I mean,
too much sun for you.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it's a little too much sun.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned Leo Rodriguez, who's been
You did.
covering the media availabilities. We're going to bring in right now to talk a little UCF football. Leo, we just saw you at the Celeste Hotel, and now here you are in the boxes.
Yeah, I was actually my first time meeting Adam in person, so that was
It's an honor, really. Really, it is.
Were you surprised that he asked for an autograph? Is that
I'm used to that by now. I'm just glad he had pants on. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
So, Leo, let's talk about this spring game, and you've been covering the team throughout spring camp. What's one or two things that you're going to have your eye on during the game?
Yeah, two things straight away has got to be the quarterback competition and them slinging the ball, throwing the ball vertically. I said it in one of the podcasts that I was on Monday. Getting
He
the
dropped
ball,
that in there nicely, didn't he?
Yeah,
He's
just
booking
add
other
some
shows.
Sound, I had
That's
a
pretty
sound
good in
effect.
there, right? Getting the ball to all the receivers and seeing them work. Guys like Javon Baker, Kobe Hudson, we obviously know what they're capable of. We want to see guys like Xavier Townsend making plays. Chauncey Magwood, really wanted to see how Darren Hinshaw installs those guys into the offense and what plays and what type of plays are they're going to be running up. Another thing I want to see is the offensive line and how they match up with the defensive line, and that battle, just the battle in the trenches is really important because obviously, as we know, UCF lost a lot of offensive linemen, either to running out of eligibility or transferring, but it really is important to see where that battle and who wins that battle in the trenches, because we will know what our forte will be moving on into the fall.
You mentioned defensive line. What else are you looking for from the defense under first year defensive coordinator Addison Williams?
It's got to be the secondary. Definitely the secondary. You know, you guys mentioned DeCorian Patterson committing to UCF, transferring from Middle Tennessee. That's huge. That is huge for UCF and the defensive back department. Turnovers need to happen if it's a fumble, interceptions, whatever they can get. But the secondary is something I want to see flourish. We saw Corey Thornton struggle a bit last year, especially against the Tulane game. If you guys remember, he had a little bit of a struggle with that game, and he's supposed to be the senior cornerback of the team. So I want to see Nakai Martinez also show out. He's an exciting name, young guy. He looks like he could be a leader for the team even in his sophomore year. So that secondary is a little bit of a question mark, but I think Addison Williams is doing everything he needs to make sure it's succeeding.
Leo, we were talking earlier when you were here at the Celeste. What's your take on the format of this game? Right, there's going to be a playing time, it sounds like, and then there's going to be competitions or skills of some sort. What's your take on the new format, and what do you think that fans will be able to see by looking at both the game and the skills assessment competition, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I think this is great. I think innovation is always great, especially when it comes to the spring game. Obviously, we've heard a lot of the rumors about playing other teams, playing other schools, other local schools. I think that this could be a step forward to that. We'll see, fans out there with coaches from the sources, from what I've heard, fans, having the opportunity to kind of call plays and be able to see the POV of the coach and be on the sidelines and see what it's all about. I think it also gives the fan a better understanding of what happens on the sidelines, instead of just, we're going to call out this player because he wasn't doing this right, or this coach doesn't know what he's doing. It gives the fan a better understanding of what football is all about on the sidelines. So,
Lee, I know you're on campus a lot. Do you have any sense of what the crowd might look like? Again, a Friday night, a 7:30 night game. Any sense of maybe what the crowd would look like? Is there buzz on campus as you're talking to some of your fellow students about going to the game?
Yes. This is actually one of the spring games. I've been at different universities across the state, and this spring game was.
He spends a year everywhere, Adam.
I've heard about him.
The publicity and the marketing that's being put out there for the spring game has been great. The Knots versus the Knights, it's getting people to talk about the mascot and what mascot should stick forever. And the students are actually looking forward to it. I have some of my friends that are actually looking forward to see the QB competition is a big talk around campus. So they really want to go out there and see what that's all about. But yeah, this is one of the spring games that I'm actually pretty surprised hearing what I'm hearing from people, that they will actually want to go and participate in this fan-friendly spring game.
Well, let's talk about quarterbacks a little bit, right? There's some thought that John Rice Plumlee is that heir apparent and that the battle is between Thomas Castellanos and Timmy McClain for that second spot. Where do you stand on this? Do you think it is as clear-cut as that? How do you see this breakdown? We've seen JRP run out with the ones and Tommy with the twos. How do you see this, and what are you looking for at the quarterback competition during this spring game?
Yeah, the QB competition is definitely not clear-cut. I'll tell you that now. Last year, it didn't seem like it was clear-cut. We saw what happened with Mikey Keene and JRP go right down to the wire 1 week right before the season started. Then they made the decision to make JRP the QB1. But really, I got to say that this year it might be a little bit closer just because of the development Castellanos has made coming off of year one. He was put in tough positions last year to kind of be that quarterback. Obviously, it was because JRP got injured, but it was important. It was good. It was good playing time for Castellanos, and I think that he'll give JRP a run for his money. And with Timmy McClain, it's been a little bit weird with Timmy because we don't hear much from Gus, and we also don't hear much from Hinshaw on Timmy McClain. It's almost hard to kind of get a perception of where he's at, right, in the battle, because only hearing Timmy maybe once every press conference, but we hear a lot of the competition between JRP and Castellanos. So what I'm going to look forward to in this QB competition this spring is the simple things that Hinshaw has been talking about with footwork, with not running out the pocket the second things get hard. Just look at those things because it's important to see they're actually improving on them. Not the flashy plays, they're going to come. I think they're going to be there. It's a spring game. We're not looking at, a hard-hitting competition here. It'll be competitive, don't get me wrong, but they're going to be there. The big explosive plays are going to be there, as we've heard from Coach. There have been explosive plays in scrimmages, but please pay attention to the details of the quarterback and how they move in the pocket and the comfortability and everything that Coach Hinshaw has been talking about.
I'd say most fans feel comfortable about all of the guys in the running back room, and it seems like
Yes.
you want as much depth as you can now. How everybody's going to get touches, and we'll talk a little bit more about maybe some guys that might enter the portal. I think, Leo, the point and my biggest concern is what do we have on the offensive line? But at the running back position, what are you looking for? I mean, who's that Isaiah Bowser? Is it natural to think that it's just going to be Jordan McDonald?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is something there with Jordan McDonald and being that next Isaiah Bowser. He actually said in one of the pressers last week that he looked up to Bowser's game, and he actually learned a lot of things from Bowser's game. And I think he can be that guy. He is a monster. You look at him, he's 6'2", 6'3". He weighs
big guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. So he can be that power back that UCF wants and needs. As far as the other running backs and talking about the transfer portal, and it's reasonable to talk about the transfer portal when it comes to the running backs because you guys got guys like Johnny Richardson, who could really be a starter at any other program. Maybe not higher than UCF or a higher quality than UCF, but he could definitely help another program out with his abilities and what he can do with his speed. He's really a flashy running back that could go to any other university and help out even as a running back too. So I am going to look forward to seeing what Johnny Richardson does if he does submit his name into the transfer portal, just because he can be a guy that's important to another team.
But of course, who can block in that running back room? And that has been a question maybe a little bit around Johnny Richardson. That is a long way of determining who gets playing time.
Yeah, for sure. Leo, do you have any sense of how long some of the quote-unquote established starters might play? I mean, like a Josh Seliscar, a Tremon Morris-Brash, Lokai Palue. Do you have a sense for how long some of the established starters might play in the spring game?
Yeah, established starters, we're looking at Tremon Morris and, Josh Seliscar. I don't see them playing more than 2 or 3 series. I just can't. It's a game where I think Gus and all the staff is looking to see what the other guys can contribute, what their talent can do. And I think they know what Seliscar is capable of doing, of what Morris-Brash is doing, and all those guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if, JRP is in for a series or 2. And let's see what Tommy has. Because obviously, from what I've heard, is that second half is going to be fan-friendly, right? So they want to make sure they get some serious reps before that second half comes around. That way, Tommy and JRP can get those serious reps, and even McLean. So we'll see how they run it, though.
All right, Leo, every year there's a breakout player, somebody who stands out, whose name kind of gets out there, maybe a name we weren't expecting. I need your prediction right now. Give me your prediction. Who's going to be the breakout player? Whose name are we going to be talking about all week after the spring game?
I'm going to go ahead and say Xavier Townsend with the receiving core. I see a lot of talk with Hinshaw, installing plays designed for him, and in the running back room, look no further than DeMarcus Bowman, because it's all eyes on him for the spring game, just because of all the hype that we've been hearing, in the press conferences, and he's got to show out in the spring game, even if it's for just a couple of drives, he'll definitely have a lot of eyes on him. So we'll see what DeMarcus can bring on the defensive side of the ball. I already mentioned Nakai Martinez. Look out for him. He was a true freshman last season. So, he, as a sophomore, it's still a big step for him to have a good spring game and even have a good season in the fall. So those are the guys I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Those are the breakout players. We've alluded to the transfer portal. There are going to be some names likely, right, that enter that portal when it opens. What's a name or two that you're not going to be surprised about? For me, there's got to be a running back that enters that transfer portal.
And like I said, Johnny Richardson, he seems like a very ambitious guy. We talked about his goals in the press conference. He's convinced, and myself, that he can be a guy that can go over on 800 yards, close to 1,000, if he's on the right team. And that's what he's looking for. Might not be UCF, that he wants to stay at. So RJ Harvey looks like the solid 1-2 punch, and obviously there's going to be a complementary running back there, and that could be DeMarcus Bowman. That's what it's looking like right now. But obviously, I can't discard anything that Hinshaw might look at moving forward into the fall.
All right, we'll end with this: Knights or Knots? Who you got and why? No, you don't know who's on all the rosters, right? But Knights or Knots?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Knights. I'm a traditionalist, so I
like
will
this.
say
Who knew?
I like the Knights. I like the Knights to take this one, but
We're planning team coverage of this one, Adam.
We are.
With me in the press box.
Great.
Leo, we believe, will be positioned on sidelines. Leo's planning some different things that he's going to do for coverage of the game. We're not quite sure of the rules and how much video we're allowed to upload or photos, but we're going to hopefully have Leo on the sidelines, get some of that stuff that he'll have on his Twitter and that we'll be able to post on YouTube. So team coverage from the Sons of UCF.
Look at us.
Leo, we appreciate all the work you have been doing, all of the public appearances and other shows that you're now doing for yourself and the Sons of UCF. I'm just razzing you, man. So we appreciate you being live with us. And, we're going to be here for the next 40 minutes or so. So swing back by. Maybe we'll grab a drink
absolutely
in the bar. And
drinks?
Oh, it's Leo's treat.
Oh, all right. Yeah, come on down then, Leo. Yeah.
And anybody that wants to come hang out with us, we're staying in here at the Celeste. Number of the Varsity Knights are staying here that participate in the golf tournament. Going to be here for the spring game and the activities, including the yard sale on Saturday. So we're going to be hanging out in the bar. Come in and join us, Leo. We'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, and as always, it's an honor to represent Sons of UCF, even if it's on here or in other podcasts. Always an honor. I will say one thing, making a real quick announcement. I will be outside the stadium after the game. So if you guys are watching this,
we all will, Leo.
And you guys see me out there, I will be with a mic and I will be recording, and I will want your opinion. Unite Nation, I want your opinion on what you saw out there. And
tough question.
Yeah, look forward to that.
All right, Leo, we'll see you out at the stadium.
You've been warned, everybody.
All right, guys. All right.
See you, Leo.
Hasn't he been on Twitter long enough to know you can't ask people for their opinions? Is he ready for that?
Not after a game where I assume some people are going to be doing
drinking.
Yeah, actually, I think Brian Peterson has it more correct. Maybe Leo's going to be signing some autographs. Maybe that's why he's trying to drum up some autograph business out there.
So spring game, Leo and I will be there. You're going to be there. I forgot that team coverage. Yeah. You're going to have that fans.
I'm going to have that fans. I'll let you know the beer line and how long that is, what the seltzer flavors are. I got you covered on that side.
Mike will be watching it on the street.
Though. Oh, that's not nice, Trace. That's
haven't you drama.
Haven't you pissed
JP Gilbert?
What are we doing this week?
That's a sensitive subject
yes,
about it not being. We saw Gus today. We should have asked about that. I think that may be.
You were too busy with the birds.
Oh, the Sandhill Cranes. Friends, I love them on the golf course.
Let me tell you something. There's some UCF greats walking all amongst us. And this guy right here sees some Sandhill Cranes.
They're baby Sandhill Cranes, too.
I don't really care. Veers left and is just over there just shooting tons of video while some of the greatest players of all time in UCF history are playing golf. I don't know what happened. I'm still in shock.
The about 15 minutes of terror when I dropped my phone out of the golf cart.
Yes, it may have been my fault to hit that bump a little bit too hard on that one. My driving, not bad, right? I got us from place to place. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're good.
It's tricky.
Yeah. So spring game, and you and Mike, of course, breaking it all down on the next episode of the Sons of UCF podcast. Of course, big story this week has been about UCF baseball. And I've been fortunate to have those one-on-one conversations with head coach Greg Lovelady here the last couple of seasons. And you follow this and message boards, and of course, a viral moment, rumors. It's difficult to corroborate that, there have been allegations made by a former player. And I certainly didn't anticipate, right, that my question, what's going on, how's it being handled, would take off quite like it has.
Sure.
UCF coming out with a statement on Wednesday night from head coach Greg Lovelady saying that this has been looked into. There was a suspension of a player, and all of the story really took off far more than I imagine Coach Lovelady expected. And it's been a distraction this week, and unfortunate it went as big as it did.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously it's a really nuanced situation, a lot to it, right? And there's a lot of layers involved, and I think a simple conversation kind of got itself in the ether of the internet, which is the 2023 motto in some respects. So I'm certainly glad we have a little additional clarity from Coach Lovelady, and hopefully we put this behind us and focus on the rest of the baseball season and focus on winning ball games. And that's ultimately what we're all trying to do, right? Is root for UCF to win. So glad we got some clarity. Hopefully this takes some time for folks to understand what would happen, and then we can move on to the next.
Knights had a challenging week last week, right? They are at top 25 ranked Miami. They're at top 25 ranked ECU. Things did not quite go so well. Tuesday, though, they were in DeLand in Volusia County to face Stetson. Great outing by Cam Leiter. Knights win that game, and then they welcome in Memphis this weekend. After the game, had opportunity to speak with Cam, and what a heck of a performance, and he shared a little bit about that.
I'd say just working the fastball, curveball. I didn't throw my changeup as much as I'd like to, but that's just the game. The fastball, curveball was working, so I threw it. But really, it was just getting 0-1. Once you get 0-1, I'm in the driver's seat. When I can throw that curveball 0-1, they start chasing, and the high fastball, those guys are kind of on the plate, so I tried to pitch inside, jam them up a bit. They got a couple hits off it, but I had some success, so just keep on going.
That's his first win this year.
Yeah.
He's talented.
Yeah.
6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 7 Ks. His control was there. And that's something I want to ask Stephen Branca, who's part of the ESPN Plus broadcast. He'll be on the coverage this weekend. We've been talking about it, Stephen, and we're waiting for that kind of breakout moment for Cam. Maybe it came Tuesday at Stetson.
Yeah, he looked great. He had all of his pitches working, as you heard. He wished he threw the changeup a little bit more. I do think that's his best pitch. Kind of gets all of his other pitches back in line. But we saw him in the zone. His command was there. That's been the issue, right? He's been yanking off on some of the fastballs, missing down and away to those right-handed hitters. And so he's able to get back in the zone, throw some strikes, mix really well. And if that's what you're going to get from Cam Leiter on a weekly basis, this pitching staff is going to start elevating itself. You're going to start to see a different side to them.
Coach Lovelady's been talking about this, just consistency. You see good performances, but it's the inconsistency. What was also of note Tuesday at Stetson in the win, the defense was strong, and that really backed up Cam.
Yeah, they played really well. That was probably their best overall performance, offensively, defensively, and pitching. Putting it all together in one, they kind of finally did it, right? There's been games where they put up, 15 runs or something like that, but they're giving up 12, or they're, they pitch really well, but they make 4 errors behind them, or whatever it is. They put it all together and they played really well as a whole, which was great to see. And hopefully this is what they just take into the rest of the season from here on out, ride that into it and just keep that going and keep that success.
Stephen, obviously it's been a rough stretch for the Knights. Is this a situation where one win means more than just one win? Is this something that kind of gets them back, in a good headspace and kind of, you think, can propel them going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't take much to propel a team moving forward. It could be something very simple. It could be a performance that you finally put it all together. It could be a motivational speak. It could be anything really. Just it could be somebody that's out there talking smack about you or something. It doesn't matter. It could get you back on track one way or another. And so a game like that could really help those, because they've proven now you could put it all together, right? Home run hitters, when you hit your first home run, you start to see them coming more and more because you've proven you could do it. And so they've proven that they could do it and put it all together in one piece. And hopefully that just carries over.
Yeah, this isn't a question, more of a statement, Stephen. Matt Cedarberg hit a bomb, right? Speaking of first home runs, he hit a bomb on Tuesday night.
Yeah. That was so Matt Cedarberg's a kid. I've actually known him for a long time. I've known his dad since I was in high school because he's a scout for the Rockies. And man, he had a really great junior college career at the College of Central Florida, and the numbers just weren't translating. And I think it's because he went to Southern Miss to play and didn't get a whole lot of time or a fair shake there, and so he transferred out and came to UCF. And now he's starting to mix in with what they do and how they do things offensively. And I think he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. You're starting to see better at bats out of him throughout the year and as it's gone on. Now it's tough to be a pinch hitter like he's done majority of the year, but when he gets his starts and he's getting 3-4 at bats, he's starting to figure it out a little bit.
And most importantly, some production out of the eighth spot in the lineup for a change, right? That has been a difficult spot for Coach Lovelady to find something that would work there this season.
Yeah, figuring out one of those corner outfield spots and that 8-hole has been kind of their nemesis. And so to get something out of that, and like you said, the defense was still good on the other side of it, even moving some guys around like they had. And so it was good to see that.
We saw Andrew Sundin 2 home runs. You know his bat. He caught in the midweek game at Miami. Kind of expected to see him catch at ECU. It was supposed to be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, the threat of weather and rain, and they dealt with all sorts of conditions, end up with a doubleheader on Thursday. 3 games in 28 hours, and Ben McCabe was behind the dish the entire time, but Coach Lovelady said that he thought he was the best one defensively back there. What do you expect from Andrew Sundin behind the plate?
Yeah, he needs to be able to mix in and give McCabe a break. He hasn't done it in a while, right? He hasn't done it since last season, really. And so with the offseason injury and all that he hasn't really caught a bunch recently. And so he's still working his way back into it. But his main goal is to be able to give McCabe a break long enough to where he can catch up a little bit, catch his breath, let his legs get under him a little bit. And because you're going to see if McCabe is catching every game, you're going to see his legs start to get heavy. You're going to see the production and his numbers start to drop a little bit. And that he's a cornerstone to that lineup right now. You can't have that. And so McCabe has to be able to be himself. So Sundin has to be able to take some of the load off of him. So he's just got to lock in a little bit more. There's a few times where there's a few pass balls here and there. He gets crossed up on a couple things. Just getting locked in back there and really getting used to those pitchers too, because he hadn't had a chance to even catch him in bullpens a whole lot. He hadn't been squatting at all because it's a hip injury, and so he's just going to take some time to get used to those guys, and then he'll be much better once the season goes on.
All right, Stephen, each week we're obligated to ask you a John Rice Plumlee question. So here's this week's JRP question. Do you have any sense yet for what his schedule is going to be on Friday? Is he playing a full game? Do you have any sense of maybe what we can expect from JRP on the baseball diamond on Friday?
I think and I don't know this to be true, I would guess that he's going to play a full game of baseball. Now, I think they're hoping and praying for the Knights to jump out on top and, have a 10-run lead somewhere, and then they could send him on his way in the 6th inning, something like that. But I think that from what I know, the plan is for him to play as much as they need him to play. And he's been fantastic this year on the diamond. So, I understand it's the spring game. So, baseball comes first, and it's a Friday night conference series. Now, if they were playing a Dartmouth instead, it's a totally different story, right? And so it's conference weekend, and it's a big deal. And if they're going to make a run, they got to win Friday night. So.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, obviously we need a turnaround in the conference slate right now. Give us a scouting report on Memphis. What can we expect out of this Tigers team coming to UCF this weekend?
Yeah, they got a couple guys that can scare you in the lineup. They got some guys that got a little bit of pop, some guys that got some wheels that can run. It's a very athletic lineup. And then they got a couple arms on the mound that as starters have had some success, and then a couple of back end guys that throw some cheese. So they got some guys, they can put it all together. I mean, you're talking about a team that just this past week, how well the Stetson game went for UCF. I mean, Memphis just went to Ole Miss and beat them midweek. And so they're going to try to ride that into this weekend and the rest of the season, just like UCF is trying to ride their Stetson game into the rest of the season and the weekend. And so they got themselves a great motivator and a great confidence boost beating Ole Miss this past week. So we'll see. It should be a good weekend.
Reliable Friday night starter Rudy Gomez moved up the doubleheader, and Coach Lovelady and Coach Marath had to manage the bullpen there. It seemed like there are a lot of challenging balls that got into play in his outing, and then they let him out there 12 runs. That's not the Rudy Gomez we have seen on Friday. No. I'd expect a bounce back game from him.
100%. Yeah, I mean it's definitely it was an off week. And defensively behind him, I think we had kind of talked about it a little bit. There was a couple of plays that kind of went against them, and so it just didn't fall their way that day. And so I think we'll see a different side of him.
Well, and that's going to happen, right? You're just going to have one of those games. I'm still trying to understand, maybe my coaching staff is as well. Ben Vespi, what have we seen from him so far? Because, he hasn't, with injury, it has not been the season that he or the coaches had expected. But I think there's still a lot of potential with him for the rest of the run.
Yeah, you've seen flashes of who he is and who he can be. And I think that's what they're hoping for it to click and for him to get back fully into who he is and who he was for this team last year down the stretch. And so I think you'll get down to that, and I think you'll get to see that from him. He's just a guy that his fastball gets on guys a lot quicker than they expect. It says 90, 91 on the scoreboard, but for some reason it looks like 95. And his off-speed stuff is really good. He just has to be around the zone, and he's got to keep the ball down. And ball gets up in the zone and guys get hit, and he's seen that a couple times so far. And so he's been working on that, and he's looked much better at times. And so I think they're just trying to get him back to where he was last year so that they could really go on a run.
All right, Stephen, the off the rails questions of the week. Yeah, they're here. Obviously, just celebrated Easter this past weekend. Can I get your ruling on Peeps? Are you a Peep fan or no?
So when I was younger, I was a Peep fan. Now, I'm not sure I could take a bite of a Peep without throwing up because of how sweet it is. I mean, it's literally you might as well take a bite of sugar. Like take a spoonful of sugar and just eat it. I mean, it's the same thing.
Are you against cotton candy too?
I don't do it. I don't really have the cotton candy. I'm not. My kids like the cotton candy grapes. That's their thing. I'm a fan of fruit, so that's something I would go for. Not so much cotton candy as it is, but Peeps, not anymore. Back if you ask 7-year-old me, yeah, for sure. Give me like 6 of those things and I'll bounce off the walls for a week. But now, no chance.
All right, second one for you. I need your Easter egg hiding philosophy here, right? So imagine you have a group of 8 to 10-year-olds. My wife and I had this conversation. Her idea of hiding the eggs was just putting them on top of the lawn, right? And I'm like, no, they got to go under a rock. They got to be in the mailbox. I mean, we have to make some, make it worth their while here, right? For 8 to 10-year-olds, what is your Easter egg hiding philosophy? Do you want to make them work for it or make it easy?
Yeah. Oh, you got to make them work for it. That age group. Yeah. See, I got a 5-year-old. Okay. I have a 1.5 and a 5-year-old. So it's different now. Like I have to put it not in plain sight, but enough to where it's still fun. Because if it's just like, oh, pick it up, let's go, pick it up. No, you gotta be different heights. Something's got to be up on a shelf every now and then. A couple might be out of their reach just to keep them on their toes. And some need to be buried under the rugs. Couch cushions, all that for the 5-year-olds even. So when you get to 8 to 10, I mean, it's really got to be. I mean, it should be in a shoebox in your closet that you haven't opened in 3 years. Like that's where it should be at. And that's the one that should have a $100 bill in it, and that should be the real challenge. They don't find it, you keep the $100 bill. I'm just saying, these are things that we will do in my household. Yeah.
Have you ever hidden an egg and then you forgot, and then like a year later you find this random egg someplace in your house?
Yeah, and I'm hoping it's not the one that's got some chocolate in it or something like that, because then that could be a problem depending on where it's hidden. It could have melted chocolate at that point, or jelly beans. Those could be an issue. I'm hoping there may be a coin in there of some sort. We do some coins for the kids these days in the eggs. That's an extra fun one for them. My kids don't know any difference between a penny and a dime or a nickel or a quarter at this point. They just see that it's shiny and they're good. So, that's kind of the route that we go with that.
Is it just Branca children that can participate in the hunt for the $100 bill?
Yeah, I mean,
the egg, or is that open to
yeah,
others? I'm just saying, and I know it's after Easter, but we're not far from you. Adam and I are not now at the Celeste Hotel on a live remote. Not far from your house if they haven't found that egg,
Yeah, I mean, no, that's not. We haven't done it this year. We'll make them work for it in years to come, and so it's in the future at least.
Baseball game at 5 on Friday, welcoming in Memphis. Mark Daniels on the football call for this spring game. So you're going to be paired back with Eric Lopez. I like listening to you in my earphones during the baseball games, and I'm going to carry you over to the football stadium. So you're going to be on the cast this weekend.
All right, great. That sounds good. I mean, I look forward to it. I'm really looking forward to just getting out there and being able to just watch a game, because I feel like there's been so much more off the field type stuff that we've had to worry about and talk about and listen to and all that. And so, I'm just excited to see the players in their element, Coach Lovelady in his element, and just go out there and play and do their thing, because that's all they want to do at the end of the day, right? So I'm excited for them to do that.
All right, Stephen Branca, we appreciate you being with us again this week on Suns Live. We'll see you out at the ballpark.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Stephen.
I think he's completely right. Yeah, after the week and what's going on from the.
Well, I think he's more right about the eggs. You got to hide those eggs really well, Trace. That's the best point he made the entire night.
So 5:00 on Friday before the spring game. By the way, these baseball games, I mean, it can be a well-pitched game of 2 hours and 15 minutes, but these games can also go 3.5. We've been told by head coach Gus Malzahn 2 12-minute quarters. Let's say the baseball game is tight in the 6th inning. What happens? I mean, so everybody, when you see Thomas Castellanos or Timmy McClain come out first, let's just calm down about who's QB1. But don't you think, I mean, he needs time to warm up. He needs time to get his uniform taped up, pads on. Is there a cutoff time, you think, for a 7:30 start? 6:45, no matter where the game is?
I mean, I think based on what Steven said, I mean, it sounds like that's the priority game for him this weekend, right? Is finishing out the baseball game. I mean, Leo had a good point on social media. What if this goes to extras, right? What if it's extra innings? I think his priority is going to be the baseball game. If there's something going on in the back half of the spring game, and maybe that's the part JRP can participate in, maybe it's something kind of fun. It's, maybe they're hiding Easter eggs. I don't know. But I think the priority is going to be the baseball game. And again, I think Steven brings up a great point. It's a home game. It's a conference opponent, Trace. I think that's going to have to be his priority. As much as we'd all love to see him run around in shells, throwing balls that, against a spring game defense, I think the priority should be the in-season sport, which is baseball.
You know what I also like about this? I know we're calling it a spring game, and there's festivities and there's tailgating. It's a practice, right? And it's not the end practice.
Correct,
there are some more practices scheduled. So they're going to clean up what they see in this one. It's going to be interesting. Cameras are going to be on that. When does JRP exit baseball and head over to football? To me, that's the fun part, the backdrop of this that I'm most looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, look, I mean, UCF's always pretty progressive in their coverage of social media stuff. I think this is a great social media viral moment, right? I can see this being on Twitter and, kind of the Superman situation where he comes in a booth and comes out in a football uniform. I think there's opportunity for UCF to do something unique with it. And again, hats off to JRP. I mean, I went out and walked, 3 holes of golf today, and I look like this. JRP's playing 2 sports at a high level and doing it really, really well. So, I mean, the kid is doing a fantastic job. And for whatever you think of his ability to throw the out route, he's a great representative for Night Nation.
Planes, trains, no trains. He hasn't been on a train yet. Planes, automobiles.
Yeah.
That was last week.
I don't think a train has been in the mix. No.
You know what? When that bright line's going from South Florida to Central Florida.
Look, his dog Kenny is going to be out of a job if we're going to go bright line. I don't need that, Trace. Give Kenny a job, will you?
All right, so baseball gets the win. Tuesday it sets and welcomes in Memphis. You know how the Knights have not taken a series on the weekends. This is an important one. 1-5 in conference play. I'm not saying they got a sweep, but
we need to win the series at least.
They got
bare minimum. Yeah.
Softball run rules FIU midweek. 9-1. Knights move to 25-18. They're still 4-2 in the AC. Travel to Tulsa. We mentioned Eric Lopez. He has been filing reports for us. Now, a caveat on this one. It was windy out at the softball complex.
But look,
so
Elo's a professional. He's a professional. He just charges right through that wind, Trace. It didn't stop him at all. He just powers right through that thing.
Let's hear from Eric Lopez.
All right, guys, here at the Plex, right from the left field lounge in the background. UCF defeated FIU 9-1 in 5 innings. Shannon Doherty, who received her Order of Pegasus prior to the game, hit her solo homer, 6th of the year to lead the team. She's 4th all-time with 26 home runs. Chloe Evans, 2 triples in the game, 6 triples on the season. Only Tiffany Lane has more triples than UCF in a single season. UCF softball history. Tiffany Lane with 8 triples. Chloe Evans with 6. Knights offense was clicking. Sarah Willis, 4 shutout innings to get the win. Now the Knights, winners of 6 in a row, 25-18, will go on the road for the final time. UCF will play at Tulsa for a 3-game series. All these games are big. UCF's RPI 33. As we talk, that RPI is going to probably take some hits here in the coming weeks with the opponents. So very important for UCF to keep this momentum they've built going forward. So hopefully the Knights can take care of business. Final trip ever in Tulsa. I don't think anybody's going to miss Tulsa, Oklahoma personally, but that's just me. So So Eric Lopez here, guys. Beautiful day here on this windy day, on the day where they honored Autism Awareness Day as well. Great cause there today. Great crowd here to watch UCF beating FIU. They take on Tulsa this weekend. All right, guys, back to you.
Eric Lopez, so cool. He's got to wear shades.
That wind, though, did not bother him one bit. Your jokes aren't as funny when you're not on a camera. I'm not going to lie to you.
Are they funnier when we're in a triple box?
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. So softball out at Tulsa, and nobody in any sport, right? Is UCF in any sport ever going to sketch Tulsa for anything ever?
Someone should be let go from their jobs if they schedule Tulsa. That just can't happen. Planes, trains, automobiles to get to Tulsa. We don't need that.
All right, go around the kingdom before we welcome back an old friend. Athletic Director Terry Mahajer, who we spoke with today, a little name drop there at the Eagle Creek Golf Course, announcing longtime rowing coach Becky Kramer has stepped down. So she was put on a leave of absence, and UCF particularly vague on that. She's had great success, several conference championships, rowing now in a search for a new head coach. So that would be second coach hired by Terry Mahajer after Coach Messer for women's basketball. Also, women's tennis beat South Florida today. Okay, so that's 6 points in the war on I-4, takes it to 40-20. 43 wins it outright. That trophy ain't never going to Tampa.
No.
Right?
Keep it here. I'm just glad you didn't ask me a rowing question, because I was really afraid you're going to throw it to me and ask me my rowing analysis, which I hadn't.
I'm going to wait for you to ask Mike that.
Fair enough.
On the podcast.
Fair enough. Fair enough, yes.
So I wanted to mix things up. So we talked about hot takes, and we had the crackling
Besides my face, yes.
Fire.
I still have that if you
sound.
want to throw that on here.
No,
Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Maybe it might drown out Gloria Estefan, not just playing loudly over the speaker
I
here.
love during our live remote here from the Celeste, the piped-in hotel music.
Yeah.
But there's been a clamoring. Would you say clamoring is the right word to return?
There's been a small faction of people who have been very vocal about a change that they think we need to make.
So
Small.
we bring back questions. Do we have any sounder? What do we got? We got anything prepared for this?
It's back by popular demand. It's that time again. Time to open the Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag.
There's a lot of
never going to not make me laugh.
There's a lot of enthusiasm.
Really
he
is.
needs to lay off the hot sauce at Wendy's.
I saw that Wendy's order, Brian, go see a doctor, but also gold shirt. I don't know if you noticed that. He's on this gold crusade.
He is. Yeah. I'm with him on gold.
The right gold. We had this conversation today with somebody whose name I can't remember right now. There you go.
Yeah.
The right gold pant and the right gold jersey makes sense. The O'Leary gold that wasn't really gold, that needs to go. But the right gold in moderation, Brian, like you should do with your Wendy's order, by the way. I'm with you.
We begin with a guy that's watching us live right now, Emptiness, who's
Do I have him just ask the question right here?
Just pop
Just
into
bring
the
him
mic.
over?
I liked his first question. When are the hot takes coming back? He's just ready to get rid of the Brian W. Peterson mailbag after its return.
Again, there was a small faction that really wanted it back, Brian. But I mean, I think we could flip flop back and forth. I mean, I don't know. The hot takes don't work when it's just me and you, though. We need Leo. We need an appearance by Mike. Maybe we need to bring people in for hot takes. If it's you and I, it just doesn't work very well.
We mixed it up. We have brought back questions, but the actual question is, attending the spring game for the first time, how much playing time given to each quarterback? I think Thomas Castellano starts because baseball's still going to be going on, and this is a big moment. He posted on his social media that sort of indicating this is a big moment for him to shine. I mean, we can't read too much into a spring game, but there's a moment of opportunity here.
Yeah, if I understand the rules right, it's going to be 2 12-minute
That's not very
quarters
quick.
in the first
Yeah,
half, right?
very
So that's
long.
24 minutes of game time, and it could very well happen where
Was that an
JRP
hour?
is still
Was it an hour?
transitioning from the baseball diamond too. So I think you're going to probably see a fairly, call it a 40-40-20 type split, right? With JRP, that's not 100, is it though?
40-40. Yeah, 40-40.
Okay,
20.
40-40-20. You may see something like that with JRP not getting a lot of reps, but look, I think we all want to see Thomas and Timmy, right? We've heard a lot about them. We want to know kind of what we have at the quarterback room. We know what JRP is. I think we all want to see if there's improvement. But if you're going to judge him off a spring game performance, I don't think that's the right thing. But I'd like to at least see what do we have in those two other quarterbacks. We haven't seen a bunch of them. We haven't seen Timmy McClain at all in the proper uniform and not wearing ugly green. So I think we just need to see that. And I'm okay with that if that's what happens.
We've been talking about the portal earlier in the show. Any chance a quarterback goes into the portal?
I don't think any of the
three
any of the main three, no, right? Because JRP already used a transfer, although he may be a grad transfer. Timmy McLean obviously just used his up. I really hope Thomas doesn't leave. So unless you're talking a walk on, but I'm going to go no on quarterback.
No. At 2 letters, 2 words, Robert. Do you like the format for this one? Half a real game and half what we're not sure, but we heard today out at the golf course, they're promising some surprises there in the second half.
I'm TBD, Robert, because I need to know what the second half's going to look like, right? I need to know what that's going to be. Is it going to be at least fun? Is there anything I can take out of it? It's something unique that it's one of those things where you kind of had to be there because you have to. It's not going to be on TV, right? So I need to know what that is. So I'm TBD right now on the fun stuff. I need to see what that is first.
Do you like the idea you saw it talked about during college football this week about maybe playing another opponent? Auburn's trying to mix things up, sucking up one team up 24-0. Would you be interested in playing a FAU or FIU instead of what we're going to see on Friday night in whatever form?
I would, yeah. I think that actually would be a little bit more appealing to the fans to have a, quote unquote, real game of some sort, right, where you can play against another team. Look, NFL teams do it all the time in spring training or spring practice, right? They play other teams at a practice. I think we could do something similar in college football.
At Spursy night, top 3 things that you're looking for. Let's alternate on this one. I mentioned it off the top. I want to see if we've seen now the implementation of Darren Hinshaw's offense a little bit more, but in particular how they hang in the pocket when they face some pass rush. And these quarterbats are going to be live, right?
Yeah, great question.
I don't know. I don't know if that was asked of Coach Malzahn, and if we know that clearly, they may have missed that.
I haven't heard it if that's the case. But I mean, we talked a lot about Darren Hinshaw. Let's not forget Aston Williams, also a first-time coordinator. So how has this defense changed, if at any, right? I think a lot of us lamented what we thought was soft coverage in the secondary. Didn't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback under the previous scheme. Are there going to be appreciable changes we can see? So a lot of focus on Hinshaw, rightfully so, on the offensive side. Points put butts in seats. But I want to see, how is this defense different under Aston Williams?
And then your point now, next point for you.
Injuries. I don't want anybody hurt. I don't want anybody injured. I don't want anyone sort of pushing the limits here. Let's have a good, clean, fun game. No injuries. I think we've been, knock on wood, a couple of guys were dinged up from what we saw, Trace, but no injuries. Let's get out of this thing clean.
We didn't spend much time in this show talking about wide receivers. It seems like there's some depth there, but what are we going to learn about how those positions shake out? And I know that's something that you and Mike talked about on Monday. And we know that maybe the top 2 guys, but maybe some of the other spots, and you've got some new guys like Trent Whittemore.
Yeah, my third one is who's going to be the breakout player. And on the podcast this week, I predicted Chauncey Magwood. A guy that was on the podium this week. We got to hear from for the first time. Transfer coming from, I think it was Kentucky. So he's going to be my dark horse, kind of name to know. So I think the third one for me is who's the standout player. I'm going to go Chauncey Magwood. Leo earlier, forget who we picked now. Probably should have been paying attention when he said that to me out loud. He picked somebody. Just trust me on that one. Trace, do you have somebody that you think?
Bowman. I want to see the talk now with him.
Okay.
That's who I'm interested in seeing. And one area we haven't talked anything about, I asked Coach Malzahn about it on Tuesday, whether Colton Boomer, how's he doing out of the boot? And I don't think we're going to see him.
Again, nor should we. This is not a time to push somebody.
And you know
right?
what you have from him.
Yes.
But what do we have from other kickers?
Yeah, this is not a time to push somebody.
How much work will we see from special teams and the sorting out of spots in the return game interests me as well, and what we will actually get to see.
Which reminds me, Leo said Xavier Townsend was his player.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
We stickler for accuracy on the Sons of UCF.
Yes. Brian W. Peterson, I mentioned when he sent in the comment that we would see if we had time. Do we have time for the Brian W. Peterson?
I mean, we got other questions to take on the screen here.
With new offensive and defensive coordinators, which side of the ball sees the most improvement in 2023? Which is interesting.
Well,
I'm not going to answer it in the spring game, but it's an interesting.
Well, that's a question of where are they starting from, right? I think at the end of the year, both the offense and defense were scuffling a little bit. I think a lot of that, though, on the offensive side was JRP's injury and kind of a rookie quarterback, if you will, and Thomas Castellano. So I think the defense has the biggest room for improvement. So I'll go defense on that one.
Zeebel's UCF. One of my favorite
Love Zabel's
Twitter handles. Yeah. Sounds like Bowman might be a real football player.
He might be a real football player,
that's Coach Gus Malzahn-ism. But UCF is his third school. Now, I like him. But are you smoking that sweet, sweet hopium when it comes to Bowman, or tossing it in the skeptical receptacle?
I mean, that's a great phrase.
You
win the word choice of the week, Zeebles. Yeah, I think everyone's saying something really, really positive about him. He's unsolicited. You're hearing his name in press conferences and podiums from some of the players. I'm not concerned about the 2-3 school situation. It was Clemson and Florida, right? Who wants to go to Florida anyway? So I give him a pass on that. And basically, he just came from Clemson. So I'm good with that. But I'm going to trust the people who are seeing this stuff happen day in and day out, Trace. That's the players. They're not going to go up there and talk somebody up who they don't think can play really well. So I got to imagine he's making some special plays. We saw the video of him jumping over a human being.
That was a great play.
Yeah, human beings being jumped over is not something you see all the time. So I'd love to see that in a night uniform this fall. I can tell you that.
You posted a video on social media of jumping on that box
I did.
in your
It was
yard.
40,
How high can you go?
It was 40 inches. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I can jump a human. I mean, we have some humans laying around here. We don't. Is this thing open still? Not a human. I can't jump a human. Is it open, by the way?
It's still open. The bar is open.
That's all I need to know. That's
we'll
what I was asking.
At Patrick Nurse, FTW, what's the one item you like to get in the yard sale? Now, are you going? Now, you just said before the show, you don't want to. You might get all excited at this yard sale. And you spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Are you going?
I'm concerned
how much money?
I'm concerned about my wallet. It's been through a lot lately. My plans, actually, I just found out, may have changed a little bit for Saturday. I may have a window to now be able to go. I need to clear that with the finance committee at the house, though. That's the biggest issue right now. Finance committee, if you're listening, I just need a limit. That's all I need to know.
All right, let's not put a cap on this. Ooh. What is something that you'd want? Of course, you don't know what the full selection, which, by the way, might have been something UCF could have teased a little bit.
I think that's
shown some
items. I thought I saw that will be coming out in the sit and talk by SJ Tui. I believe he mentioned there will be some form of an inventory list that's coming out, or maybe it's only to shareholders or somebody of a select
maybe some
group.
Folks
but I think there's something out there. Yes, my answer though would be a helmet. I'd love a nice Moon Space helmet if they have any of those laying around. I think it's a unique item. Jerseys, I have a few of those already. Shirts, pants, hats, whatever. Those are all cool. But I helmet, the Moon helmet with the craters in it, that would be my pick.
What's your most prized possession of UCF memorabilia?
It used to be the backdrop of the show, Trace. It was the Dante Culpepper signed jersey that I have. That's probably my most prized possession, UCF-wise.
Mine's my Sons of UCF hat. Does that count?
It's not on your head. It wasn't on your head.
I did not wear it
clearly. It wasn't on mine, by the way.
At UCF, how'd you get so sunburned in the face then? You had the hat on.
Can we go on to the next question?
Okay. At UCF, Johnny Dawkins tweeted a video. Blink twice, Johnny. Remember that when we had the guest and we got the comment? Was that Mario? When we had the guest.
It was
Auburn?
Mario. Yes.
Yeah. He supported the Kingdom NIL. Did Dawkins just get the memo about NIL? And Dawkins has Twitter. It was not the best produced video. I'm not sure the phone rang off the hook.
Listen,
got to do a little bit better job, I think.
When you're going to put a video out where you're essentially asking people for donations, the phrase toothpaste out of the tube probably shouldn't appear in the script anywhere. I don't know who RV Buzz is, by the way, but he may be or she may be my new favorite listener.
What's the comment?
Who is Brian Peterson? Is he a part of the show?
Is the correct question, why is he a part of the show?
We'll find out. We'll find out. Yeah.
How much is he paying for that spot? Not enough.
No, I mean,
at Mr. Matt Dolan asking, is UCF going to pay Trace to go over to St. Pete to ask Kevin Cash some questions in an attempt to slow the Rays down? Rays are off to a tremendous start. I'm not sure they've buried the Yankees, Mike's Yankees yet, but they are off to a big start.
Yes,
that's your baseball knowledge. I am Rob 6719. Why does Brandon Hellwig always get the first question in the press conference? Does he have some sort of Helen Thomas agreement, that reference to a reporter who covered the White House beat for many years?
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say, for me at least, I don't know that there's any rule, but I have always participated in that deferential treatment towards Brandon because he's covered the beat for more than 20 years. And really the advance of the internet age and the work that he does at UCFsports.com. So I think that's, at least for me, why.
I've never stepped foot in the interview room there, and that's probably by great design on UCF's part. But I assume it's the same, Trace. I mean, Brandon's been the OG and covering UCF for a long time, so I think it's a nice opportunity for him to always kind of lead us off. Plus, on the bright side, I always get to know what people are eating that week and what someone's food dish likes are. So Brandon's always got a good question that'll inform me, similar to my Peeps question.
Yeah, well,
Brandon, ask Gus if he likes Peeps next time.
Some are friendlier than others in the questions that they ask.
Sure.
I've learned.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
All right. What do you think of this live experiment? We've pulled it off technically here in the hall at the Celeste Hotel.
I have a couple things. One, I don't like the camera's higher up than normal, right? So we're usually looking at the monitor. It's up here, so I feel like I've been moving my eyes around a lot. Staring at this camera does not help because there's a light right behind it that may or may not be blinding me. I also look like a tomato, which is not what I was hoping to do today. And I don't like to wear headphones, and these are very large headphones. Outside of that, I loved it.
Other than that, it was
Loved
great.
it.
Where are we
Loved
live at next week? I kind of like the idea of going remote.
Where do you want to? I mean,
I got to drive up to Jacksonville.
You know what? Home and road. That's what I'm with you, Trace. I'll find a nice little, really good spot by the house. Craft beer. I can get you craft beer.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that. I want to thank Carlos McCants and the Varsity Knights for welcoming us today.
Really
to be
cool,
a part of the golf tournament. We're going to take a little time with the spring game and the baseball game tomorrow, but we'll get some coverage up in the interviews. We spoke with Traquan Smith, Gabe Davis, Blake Bortles, Dante Culpepper, Mackenzie Milton, Joey Porter.
I mean, Joey Grant. Joey Porter would have been cool, by the way, if he was there. I don't know why he'd be there, though.
Joey Grant.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Thank Leo for being a part of it. Team coverage tomorrow. You in the stands, Leo on the sideline, me in the press box for the spring game. And, of course, Stephen Branca talking Easter eggs and baseball. And Eric Lopez, who will join Stephen Branca on the call.
Yeah.
We've got.
I like those two. Two of my favorite UCF people. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good. It's a good cast. We had a packed show.
We did.
We are at the Celeste Hotel on the UCF campus. If you're in the area, you want to hang out with us, we're going to break down all this equipment, turn off the bright lights, and then we're going to go hang out.
We break down this equipment.
Well, I'm going
to
take out my headphones and turn off the lights. I don't know any of what you put together. I have no idea. I have no idea what you've done, but you pulled it off technically, and I thank you. And it's been great to share the microphone with you and hang out all day. We really don't get to do that often. It's been a while.
No, this is the most time you and I have ever spent around each other. I'm rethinking some stuff. That's all I'll say.
Well, I want to thank you. UCF Mike, we miss. We hope he'll be able to work out his schedule and be back with us soon. For Adam Eaton, I'm Trace Strelko. Go Knights.
Charge on.
I'm Gabe Davis. Thanks for watching the Sons of UCF.